TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donation. Shalom ve'erev tov, good evening. Welcome to our daily TV7 Israel News Bulletin, broadcast from Jerusalem. The United States is not slowing down in its offensive against Iran despite its diplomatic overture. U.S. Central Command is expanding its efforts to open the strategic Strait of Hormuz. And IDF Chief of General Staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, instructs the IDF to establish a forward defense against Hezbollah up to the Litany River, deep inside of Lebanon. The United States is holding talks with senior Ayatollah regime officials, while the terror regime's armed forces are vehemently denying this. All the while, in tandem, U.S. Central Command and the IDF are jointly and methodically degrading the Islamic Republic's military capabilities, while the heavily battered Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps persists in sporadic fire towards its Gulf Arab neighbors and Israel.
We're in negotiations right now. They're doing it along with Marco, JD. We have a number of people doing it. And the other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal. And who wouldn't if you were there? Look, their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their communications are gone. That's the biggest problem. It's very hard to communicate them between themselves. All of the anti-aircraft is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. We either shot them or they shot them and don't have them anymore. They're down to a trickle. They're pretty much everything they have is gone. I don't know. Can you name one thing that's not gone, or can you name one thing that's doing well? You know, if you read the papers, you think we're tied. You think we're in a tough battle. We are roaming free over Tehran, the city, Tehran, as opposed to Iran. We're roaming free. We can do whatever we want. And as you know, today we were going to have the privilege of shooting down a very big electric generation plant, one of the biggest in the world. And one shot to the right location ends the plant, it collapses. And we held off based on the fact that we're negotiating.
The Trump administration conveyed 15 demands to the Ayatollah regime for a ceasefire, to include an end to the RGC support for regional proxies, limiting their ballistic missile program, opening the Strait of Hormuz, and effectively dismantling much of Iran's nuclear program, among a long list of other demands.
Remember, it all starts with they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Just, you know, I said yesterday, they said, what are the top 10? I said, well, number 1, 2, and 3 is they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump continued by stressing his unwavering commitment to thwart the Ayatollah regime's proactive efforts to possess a nuclear weapon, a position which the American leader has repeatedly backed with action.
You're talking about saving millions of lives. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. And if I didn't end the horrible Barack Hussein Obama Iran nuclear deal in my first administration, they would have had a nuclear weapon 3 or 4 years ago. They would have used it. I would have never gotten the chance probably to be president. Who knows what it would have been so devastating. You would have had them having 2 weeks after that attack, had we not made the attack, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have absolutely used it. And they would have used it on the entire Middle East, including Israel.
It is important to stress that while President Trump is evidently giving diplomacy yet another chance, the United States military, in close cooperation with the Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, are persisting in degrading the Islamic Republic's military capabilities.
Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated, from day one with overwhelming firepower. The air campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a president of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the president talked about your future. President has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not a president who's interested in vague end states. He's been very clear with us about what we need to accomplish, creating the conditions for them never to have a nuclear capability, and that's exactly what we're doing in historic fashion.
Commander of U.S. Central Command Admiral Brad Cooper, in his latest update on the war, stressed that prosecuting the joint U.S.-Israeli campaign continues on plan.
U.S. forces continue to take bold action and will remain on plan to eliminate Iran's ability to project meaningful power outside its borders. Just 2 days ago, the U.S. Army launched the longest field artillery strike in Army combat history using precision strike missiles. The strike took out Iranian military infrastructure, demonstrating the U.S. military's unmatched reach and lethality. Iran has lost significant combat capability over the last 3 weeks. We are taking out thousands of Iranian missiles, advanced attack drones, and all of Iran's Navy, which they use to harass international shipping. Their Navy is not sailing, their tactical fighters are not flying, and they've lost the ability to launch missiles and drones at the high rates seen at the beginning of the conflict. Our progress is obvious. U.S. forces maintain air superiority over Iran's skies, having now flown over 8,000 combat flights. Our air crews are performing exceptionally across the fight, from tankers to fighters and bombers to land-based and carrier-based aviation doing a superb job. Tankers are extending our reach so that we can keep constant pressure on the enemy. Fighters and bombers are delivering precision strikes against our primary objectives, and our pilots across the board are dynamically hunting threats as well, finding and eliminating targets in real time.
Admiral Cooper continued by highlighting the American military's efforts to open the Strait of Hormuz.
We also remain zeroed in on dismantling Iran's decades-old threat to the free flow of commerce throughout the Strait of Hormuz. For example, earlier this week, we dropped multiple 5,000-pound bombs on an underground facility located along Iran's coastline. The Iranian regime used the hardened underground facility to discreetly store anti-ship cruise missiles, mobile missile launchers, and other equipment that presented a dangerous risk to international shipping. We not only took out the facility, but also destroyed intelligence support sites and missile radar relays that were used to monitor ship movements. Iran's ability to threaten freedom of navigation in and around the Strait of Hormuz is degraded as a result, and we will not stop pursuing these targets.
Meanwhile, the IDF, for its part, continues to degrade both Iranian targets in Iran and Hezbollah targets in Lebanon.
Also during these very hours, the IDF is attacking Iran and Lebanon with force. We continue to operate according to plan and in accordance with the instructions of the political echelon. Over the past 24 hours, we have completed several waves of attacks in the Iranian region. We have struck headquarters, launch sites, and missile production sites of the regime. We are hitting the entire chain of the missile array, from the production plants to the launchers and missiles.
Specifically in Iran, General Defrin highlighted that Israel and the United States have managed to frustrate the Ayatollah regime's war plans and to eliminate ballistic missile launching cells who are being hunted down unceasingly.
The Iranians plan to fire hundreds of missiles at Israel on the very first day of the operation. They fired less than 100 on the first day and half that amount on the second day. We disrupted these intentions and continue to disrupt them. The number of launches has dropped very quickly. The average is more or less 10 missiles a day. The regime is trying to concentrate its effort every few days to fire more broadly, mainly at population centers. We are prepared for this and continue to hunt down and eliminate the soldiers and commanders of the missile launch array. They are being pursued and are forced to operate from tents and vehicles. Now we can say that yesterday we had eliminated the cell that was responsible for the shooting at Arad on Saturday night. We will continue to hunt them down, both the launchers and the cells.
In parallel to the aerial campaign in Iran, the IDF is advancing in Lebanon against the Iranian proxy Hezbollah.
The IDF is also operating with freedom of action, continuing to strike Hezbollah and deepen the damage to it. We are continuing to intensify and restore ground activity. We have reinforced the Northern Command with additional forces that will join the fighting in the coming days. In tandem, we attacked and destroyed additional Hezbollah command posts. We attacked the Radwan force and attacked a headquarters located inside a radio station. We attacked it while the terrorists were there. The Chief of Staff defined the Litany line as a northern security line. The IDF is operating in this area with complete freedom of action, deepening the maneuver aimed at preventing direct fire on the settlements. The IDF will continue to strike Hezbollah in order to protect the northern communities and disarm Hezbollah.
It is crucial to highlight that while the IDF engages Israel's enemies both on offense and on defense, General Defrin sees the opportunity to address Israeli civilians on the importance of remaining vigilant and listening to instructions by Home Front Command, which is equally important for foreigners and tourists currently residing in Israel.
Your responsible conduct and strict adherence to the instructions at this time are critical to protecting your lives. We have excellent defense systems, but the defense is not hermetic. Urgent entry into the protected areas and staying there is difficult. It is difficult for elderly and children. We are aware of this, but this is the best way to protect your lives. We are determined to continue operating. This is a necessary campaign to secure our future.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News, which is made possible by the generosity of our viewers. If you would like to help support TV7 Israel, which is exclusively donation-based, you can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Please keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and redemption of Israel. I'm Jonathan Essen, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, until our next update. Shalom from Jerusalem.